we sent out invitations to state legislators that had voted against SB 277, and we have 3 of them here today. And we really appreciate them coming here, and we wanted to recognize them and give them an award that we called Excellence in Ethics, and support them in what they do. I know it's a tough fight in Sacramento here when you're talking about individual liberties, patient freedom. They've got an uphill battle there. So without further ado, first Travis Allen from the nearby 72nd Assembly District. And come on up, Travis.
Thank you very much.
Travis, could you maybe just say a couple words about your vote on SB 277 and why you did it?
Sure. How's everyone doing today? Good, good. How's everyone doing today? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I have to tell you, I was elected in 2012, and since I've been in the California legislature, the most impressive grassroots movement I have ever seen was the 277, Women in Red, and everybody else that came out in support. So give yourselves a huge, huge hand. It was absolutely incredible. I'd be in my office, and you couldn't walk through the hallways. And these weren't, crazy, fringe weirdos that were coming in. These were your next door neighbors. They were wonderful people that brought their kids in, that took their time off work and from their families to actually come up and advocate for something that they knew was right. Very simply, this whole concept of informed consent, it's about having the ability to protect yourself and to protect your family. Would you agree? The fight is far from over. As you know, many of the forces aligned against us on 277 were successful, right? This was Big Pharma. This was all of the Democrat Party, essentially. And we had a great coalition, but still with their money, they were able to win that fight. But they're not stopping there. They're not stopping with your children. Up next, there's talk about vaccinations for adults now. And they're going to start to mandate all of these things. Up next is SB 18 by Senator Pan. Do we have any supporters of SB 18 in the room? Let me tell you something. I went up to Sacramento to speak up for the little guy. I went up to Sacramento to speak for ordinary Californians that were getting trampled on by government. My parents left the state. My brother left the state. My best friends are in Texas. I'm an investment advisor. My clients are in 22 states around the country because they left California as well. I surf. I love this weather. I really don't want to have to go anywhere. But in order to stay here, we're going to have to fight and we're going to have to win. We're going to have to beat guys like Senator Pan and their concept of big government that knows all, right? I don't want to live in a nanny state. So look, I know that, everyone's here and you're among friends. And what I would tell you is this, get together with all of your friends. Continue to speak your truth. Just because they won round 1 doesn't mean that we won't come back and win round 2. This is a long fight, and we need people like you that are passionate, that are correct, and that are willing to tell your friends and speak up and get called names and people throw all sorts of things at you. But this makes you heroes, right? Because when you're right, it doesn't matter who's on your side as long as that you know that you are right and you're willing to fight for that. I will tell you right now, you will eventually be vindicated. It might not happen today. It might not happen this year. One of these cases might have to go to the Supreme Court, where you've heard we actually have a much fairer Supreme Court. But you will be vindicated. Your kids are going to be able to go to schools. You'll be able to use your taxpayer funds to educate your kids, which is what they're for in the first place. And my name's Travis Allen. I'll be right with you every step of the way. Thank you.
Okay, and next in our very district that we're in right now, the 74th Assembly District, Matthew Harper. Come on up, Matthew. Thank
you. My name is Matthew Harper. I'm very proud to represent Costa Mesa here in the California State Assembly, as well as the surrounding cities of Huntington Beach, Newport Beach, just about 2/3 of Irvine, Laguna Beach, and Laguna Woods. Some of you might be residents of my district. Some of you might be have traveled here from very far within California. But some of the things that I think are very important to say is in terms of my decision to vote against SB 277 comes to how I decide on voting for everything. The top two priorities I always have are freedom and liberty. And so the question of whether a bill expands or contracts freedom or liberty is very much on my mind in terms of how I decide to vote on a bill, and it was an easy call for me. The position of having informed consent and being able to decide or whether or not to decide is something that is mainstream, has been in process in California for over 100 years. I went through a period where, you could have your parents decide. Just about everyone who's an adult in the state of California who grew up here had that as an ability to be able to decide. And so it's a very, very mainstream position for everybody. But the ways to win this fight are on two levels. One is the battle for public opinion. So your advocacy in the public sphere, and whether it's through the media, whether it's through direct person-to-person contact, or whether it's through all the other things that we have within our power to be able to communicate, that is the first place to put the fight. But the second is in the legislature or through the legislative process. And there's two ways to affect change in the legislative process. The first way is to be able to try to persuade who's already there. Sometimes that can be a pretty steep climb, can it? I see some of you had some experience with that. And so we had that on our city council. When I was leaving the Huntington Beach City Council, there were some folks who I disagreed with and were obstinate about changing. I made the argument that they were trying to make our city of Huntington Beach more like San Francisco or Santa Monica. Well, guess what? The voters responded to them being outside of the mainstream within Huntington Beach. You can do the same thing. If they won't listen in the state legislature, every 2 years you get a chance to affect who is in the state legislature. And so keep this on as a growing movement, because that is the way to affect change. Because if you aren't involved, then someone who you disagree with probably will be. So get involved, stay involved, and invite more people to be a part of the movement. My name is Matthew Harper. I'm happy to be the state assemblyman here. Thank you for your acknowledgement.
Okay, and then we have Senator Joel Anderson from the 38th District and nearby. And maybe you could say something about SB 18 specifically.
Thank you very much. I have to tell you, I wish I was receiving this because we won the battle. We lost it, and it emboldened the other side to go one step further. SB 18 is even a greater threat to our liberty, informed consent, and parental rights. And I can't have a mic that I don't ask for an action item. So I'm going to tell you right now, we've got petitions here with us today, and we're drawing the line in the sand. We're going to say, no, Dr. Pan, you may not have our children. No, Dr. Pan. You will not cut us out of the process of raising our children, and the government doesn't know better or love my child more than I love my own child. Listen, you are all warriors. I'm sorry we didn't organize like this before 227, or we would have won. And I just want to thank you. Thank you for taking time away from your busy lives. You know, we've got soccer practice for our kids. We work. We put food on the table. We cover them. We bathe them. We take care of them. And then we have to go to Sacramento and fight the very people that we elect. But if that's what we have to do for our kids, put out shards of glass. I don't care. I'll do whatever it takes for my child. It's my choice, and I'm going to fight for them. And you are too. Thank you for all you've done. God bless all of you for being there for your children.
Thanks again.